I think ontologically, consciousness is best understood as a representation, which means it's an interpretable pattern that gains its functionality through a process of interpretation. Consciousness is virtual. It is as if. It's not a physical object, not a thing that you can touch, but it is a representation of what it would be like if that thing was real. And in this sense, it's both aspects of a simulation, which means you represent the causal structure of a domain using a different causal substrate, and a simulacrum, something that only pretends to do that. The difference between a simulation and a simulacrum is, for instance, apparent in a computer game. It can be a simulation of a real world. Maybe in this computer game, you're running around in a 3D space and you're shooting at things with a simulated gun. But the causal structure is not a proper model of physics down to the quantum mechanical level, but it's a high-level abstraction that produces similar sensory data and uses an implementation that is wildly different from how this works in the physical world. And a simulacrum is, for instance, in a movie, you basically see stuff on screen that also produces sensory data that looks similar to what you would be observing in the physical world, but there is no underlying causal structure. You cannot interact with it in such a way that the movie changes its course. It just looks as if that was the case. And in a similar way, a lot of our mental representations are possibly black boxes that only pretend to have something in them. And not all our mental representations also about our own mental actions actually correspond to things that are happening in our mind in the same way in which we represent them. But what I also find helpful is this metaphor of a loom. The loom being a mechanical apparatus that creates, weaves patterns. And now imagine you extend the loom in such a way that it's able to also interpret those patterns and use them as a tool to move, for instance, a robot in the physical world. And also to create new patterns in response to the patterns that you earlier represented. And in this sense, we are such patterns woven by this loom.